Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Pitta Constitution, Planetary Strength and Yogas Part 17. In Ayurvedic Astrology, planetary strength, bala, and dignity, uchcha, nicha, combust, retrograde, or yoga karaka, are key to determining how Pitta dosha manifests in the body and mind. The planets primarily associated with Pitta, Sun and Mars, represent heat, intensity, transformation, and metabolism. But how this fire expresses itself, whether as focused vitality or destructive inflammation, depends largely on planetary placement, strength, and yogas in the birth chart. For example, an exalted Mars in Capricorn, placed in the first house, gives strong digestive fire, bold temperament, muscular build, and dynamic immunity. The fire of Mars is disciplined by Capricorn's earth element, producing strategic, productive Pitta. This person is likely to have a sharp intellect, strong metabolism, efficient blood circulation, and the capacity to burn through both food and challenges with clarity. However, when Mars is debilitated in Cancer, or Combust, too close to the Sun, or afflicted by Saturn or Rahu, it can weaken the digestive and metabolic fire, Agni, creating a Pitta deficiency. This often shows up as low appetite, cold body temperature, fatigue, poor circulation, or inability to process stress or inflammation. Emotionally, it may manifest as suppressed anger, frustration, or chronic indecisiveness. A fire trying to burn in a damp, unstable environment. The Sun, too, plays a critical role. A strong, well-placed Sun, e.g. in Leo or exalted in Aries, unafflicted, gives radiant Pitta, reflected in sharp vision, bright skin, high confidence, and strong leadership capacity. The person often has a commanding presence, powerful digestion, and healthy vitality, ojas. But a debilitated Sun in Libra, or a Sun that is afflicted or eclipsed, may reflect burnout, weakened immunity, hormonal imbalances, or loss of confidence, particularly if it's associated with the 1st, 6th, or 10th houses, body, disease, career. Here, Pitta becomes disorganized, erratic, or suppressed. Combustion is another major factor. When Mars is combust, it can lead to rage, acidity, migraines, skin rashes, or inflammatory fevers, especially if placed in fiery signs. A combust Sun, on the other hand, may cause internalized pressure, hypertension, and adrenal fatigue, particularly if the ascendant or moon is weak. The fire burns too close to the core, consuming instead of energizing. Yogas and aspects are crucial. A Mars forming a Ruchaka yoga, in its own sign or exalted in Kendra, gives a commanding martial presence, which can be beneficial if balanced by Kapha planets like Jupiter or Venus. But without such balance, it may lead to Pitta vitiation, excessive heat, ulcers, blood disorders, or aggressive tendencies. Similarly, if Sun forms an auspicious yoga like Buddha Aditya Yoga, Sun plus Mercury, and both are well placed, it refines Pitta through intellectual brilliance and communication. But if Mercury is combust or debilitated, this combination can create mental irritation, verbal aggression, or speech-driven stress responses, aggravating both mental and physical Pitta. The presence of benefics like Jupiter or Venus aspecting Sun or Mars can cool and regulate the fire, reducing inflammation, temper, and burnout risk. For example, Jupiter's aspect on Mars in a Pitta-dominant chart may enhance courage without violence and digestion without acidity. In contrast, malefic aspects from Rahu, Saturn, or Ketu to Mars or Sun can twist or distort the fire, leading to uncontrollable outbursts, autoimmune heat, skin eruptions, or psychosomatic fire disorders. From an Ayurvedic astrological perspective, a practitioner will assess the dignity of Pitta planets, Sun, Mars, exaltation, debilitation, combustion, retrogression. Aspects from benefics, Jupiter, Venus, or malefics, Rahu, Saturn, Ketu. House placement, e.g., 1st house equals physical constitution, 6th house equals disease vulnerability, 10th equals stress patterns. Yogas form that may enhance or disturb Agni, digestive metabolic fire. In summary, Pitta does not simply mean strong fire. It's the quality and direction of that fire that defines whether it supports health or leads to disease. A well-placed Sun or Mars can produce vitality, charisma, and a sharp mind, while a poorly placed one may burn the system from within. Understanding planetary strength and yogas is key to managing Pitta through both astrological insight and Ayurvedic intervention, whether by cooling, grounding, or rekindling the fire in a more sustainable and dharmic way. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Pitta Constitution, Houses of Health Part 20. In Ayurvedic astrology, the houses of health, the 1st, 6th, 8th, and 12th, serve as critical indicators for understanding doshic imbalances, disease tendencies, and the overall vital tone of the body. For those with a Pitta constitution, these houses not only show where heat may accumulate or erupt, but also how, when, and why Pitta becomes aggravated, especially under stress, poor lifestyle choices, or planetary affliction. First house, Ascendant Lagna, Constitution and baseline Pitta. The ascendant defines your physical body, vitality, and inherent doshic makeup. When a person has a fire sign rising, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, and especially if Sun or Mars, Pitta Karakas, occupy or aspect the Lagna, the native is Pitta dominant by constitution. These individuals tend to have strong digestion, muscular build, intense focus, and sharp eyes, but are also prone to overheating, anger issues, and inflammatory tendencies. If the Lagna Lord is Sun or Mars, and is exalted or in a fiery sign, the Pitta constitution becomes very pronounced, leading to robust immunity, but also the risk of burnout, ulcers, and fevers if balance isn't maintained. When afflicted, such as Mars and Aries Lagna with Saturn or Rahu aspecting, it can result in acidity, high blood pressure, rashes, and even Pitta-type autoimmune flare-ups that affect skin, liver, or blood. Sixth house, acute illness and Pitta manifestations. The sixth house in Ayurvedic astrology is the seat of disease, particularly acute conditions. It often reveals what types of illnesses a person is most susceptible to and how the body fights off infections. When Sun or Mars is placed in the sixth, especially in fire signs or afflicted by malefics, it aggravates Pitta dosha. This manifests as fevers, ulcers, inflammations, liver disorders, hepatitis, acidity, skin eruptions, infections, and excessive heat in the body. For example, Mars in the sixth house in Leo may produce someone who suffers from frequent fevers, boils, or hyperacidity, especially under competitive or stressful circumstances. If Rahu joins Sun or Mars in the sixth, the result may be autoimmune or inflammatory syndromes like Crohn's disease or autoimmune skin conditions, e.g. eczema, psoriasis, where the Pitta fire turns self-destructive. Eighth house, chronic and debilitating Pitta conditions. The eighth house reflects chronic disease, hidden imbalances, and long-term constitutional wear and tear. Pitta-related planets here, especially afflicted Sun or Mars, may create deep internal inflammations that smolder over time. This could manifest as chronic gastritis or acid reflux, autoimmune inflammatory disorders like ulcerative colitis, hormonal imbalances, e.g. adrenal burnout from overexertion, liver, gallbladder, or blood toxicity issues. If Sun in the eighth is afflicted, the person may have a weak immune defense, despite an external aura of confidence, and may develop chronic heat-based diseases that are hard to diagnose or treat. Mars in the eighth, especially when ruling the sixth or first house, might give intense internal inflammation, accidents related to sharp instruments, or surgery-prone constitutions. In women, this placement can also affect reproductive hormones, linked to Pitta's control over heat and blood in the body. 12th house, sleep, immune drainage, and hospitalization. The 12th house represents loss of vitality, hospitalization, isolation, and the release or exhaustion of ojas, vital immunity. For Pitta types, afflicted Sun or Mars here may lead to burnout, fevers that land one in hospital, or chronic exhaustion from overwork and ambition. It may also suggest excess heat disturbing sleep, leading to insomnia, night sweats, or acidic dreams. For instance, Sun in the 12th with Saturn can create an internalized, smoldering anger that disturbs both mental clarity and immune response. Mars in the 12th can result in hidden inflammation, surgical complications, or diseases that involve bleeding or sharp pain but are not easily diagnosed. In summary, first house reveals core Pitta traits and vitality. Afflicted Sun Mars here equals chronic inflammation, high metabolic stress, where Pitta erupts as acute illness, fevers, infections, ulcers. Eighth house, long-term inflammatory or degenerative diseases, blood, liver, hormonal, autoimmune. 12th house, loss of vitality through heat-related sleep disturbance, hospitalization, or burnout. An Ayurvedic astrologer considers not just planetary placement, but also dignity, exalted, debilitated, combust, retrograde, aspects from benefics or malefics, the ruler of each health house and its condition. Understanding these dynamics helps one anticipate whether Pitta will be expressed as vitality or pathology, and provides key insight into managing the fire so it illuminates, not incinerates. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Pitta constitution, Sun and Mars under exaltation, debilitation, Rahu and Ketu influence. Part 23. Pitta dosha is governed by fire and water, and in astrology, its primary graphs are the Sun, Surya, and Mars, Mangala, both fiery, assertive, and transformative. In the body, they govern digestion, blood, metabolism, immunity, anger, and vitality. But the way this fire expresses itself, whether as brilliance or inflammation, depends greatly on their dignity, exaltation, or debilitation, and whether they are influenced by Rahu or Ketu, reducer. Let's look at how this plays out systematically. Sun in Pitta, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Sun in Aries. The Sun here burns clean and bright, strong Agni, digestive fire, high ojas, vital immunity, radiant skin, and sharp intellect. These individuals often have high energy levels, clear purpose, and natural leadership, with a tendency toward hypermetabolism. However, if unsupported by cooling planets like Moon or Venus, it may lead to burnout, eye inflammation, heat strokes, fevers, or hypertension, classic signs of Pitta excess. Debilitated Sun in Libra. Here, the Sun's fire dims. The person may suffer from low appetite, weak digestion, chronic fatigue, low immunity, or lack of confidence and poor posture. This reflects Pitta deficiency. The flame is present but flickering. There may be a tendency toward passive-aggressive behavior, anemia, or underactive liver function. Sun with Rahu. This combination often creates Pitta distortion. Rahu inflames the Sun's qualities into obsession with power, recognition, or perfection. It can lead to hyperacidity, bile imbalance, skin eruptions, hypertension, migraines, or psychosomatic inflammation. Psychologically, there may be ego inflation, irritable dominance, or identity crisis. The fire is exaggerated and unstable. Sun with Ketu. Ketu tends to cut or internalize solar energy. Physically, this can result in weak digestion, adrenal exhaustion, poor absorption, or dry fevers. Emotionally, these individuals may be introverted with burnt-out ambition, low enthusiasm, or an aversion to fame or authority. Spiritual heat may replace physical Pitta, giving interest in austerity or inner renunciation, but weakening the body's core fire. Mars in Pitta, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Mars in Capricorn. This is Pitta at its most strategic and productive. Mars here gives focused willpower, muscular strength, sharp metabolism, and excellent stamina. The heat is controlled, purposeful, and enduring. Such individuals often have strong liver function, healthy aggression, and an intense workout digestive capacity. If balanced, they thrive on challenge without burnout. But if overly competitive, it may lead to hypertension or workaholic exhaustion. Debilitated Mars in Cancer. Here, Mars's heat is dampened by emotional water. The result is often low digestive fire, chronic inflammation due to repressed anger, or Pitta deficiency symptoms, like poor appetite, cold hands and feet, and low testosterone sexual vitality. There may also be a tendency to internalize rage, resulting in ulcers, autoimmune issues, or suppressed immune function. This often creates explosive, unpredictable Pitta. Think inflammatory bursts, such as rage attacks, fevers with no clear trigger, skin rashes, or inflammatory gut disorders like colitis. Psychologically, this combo can manifest as impulsive behavior, dangerous risk-taking, or violent competitiveness. The person may burn too hot, too fast, resulting in frequent crashes, injuries, or immune spikes. Mars with Ketu. This leads to a muted or dissociated fire. Physically, it may show up as chronic fatigue, weak muscle tone, poor inflammatory response, or cold extremities despite inner restlessness. Psychologically, the individual may be detached from anger, leading to passive resistance, internal conflict, or even martial withdrawal. The person wants to act but can't engage fully. Pitta becomes inwardly blocked or unplugged. Key Ayurvedic insights for chart reading: placement, dosha impact, physical signs, emotional patterns. Exalted Sun Mars, strong, stable Pitta, radiant skin, strong digestion, warmth, leadership, clarity, courage. Debilitated Sun Mars. Pitta deficiency, low appetite, fatigue, cold body, low confidence, repressed anger. Sun Mars Rahu. Pitta excess, toxic fire, inflammation, rashes, high BP, anger, obsession, burnout. Sun Mars Ketu. Pitta Vata mix, suppressed fire, cold, dryness, weak metabolism, disconnection, fatigue, apathy. By assessing the dignity and nodal influence on Sun and Mars, an Ayurvedic astrologer can determine whether a person's Pitta is bright and balanced, excessive and inflamed, or weak and failing to transform. This guides treatment approaches, whether to cool and pacify, rekindle and strengthen, or regulate and contain the fire that fuels body, mind, and spirit. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology. Kapha Constitution, Planetary Strength and Yogas, Part 18. In Ayurvedic astrology, the manifestation of Kapha dosha, which governs structure, stability, lubrication, and emotional endurance, is deeply influenced by the strength, bala, and dignity of Kapha-producing planets, Jupiter, Moon, and Venus. These planets bring cohesion and nourishment to both body and mind, but their impact varies dramatically depending on whether they are exalted, debilitated, combust, retrograde, or part of specific yogas. The balance or imbalance they produce shapes how Kapha expresses as health, beauty, or stagnation. Take Jupiter, the Karaka for tissue growth, especially fat and reproductive tissues, and the planet of Ojas, vital essence. When Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, or strongly placed in the 1st, 4th, or 9th house, it bestows balanced Kapha traits, a strong immune system, deep sleep, emotional generosity, and a well-built physique. The native tends to have good fertility, strong Ojas, compassionate temperament, and resistance to disease. The mind is optimistic and emotionally grounded. However, when Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn or afflicted by Rahu or Saturn, its Kapha-enhancing potential turns into excess or stagnation. This can manifest as obesity, diabetes, water retention, high cholesterol, or lymphatic sluggishness. The mind becomes overindulgent, lazy, emotionally heavy, or spiritually confused. If Jupiter is retrograde and weak in a Kapha-dominant chart, one might also see unproductive growth, such as cysts, tumors, or excessive fat accumulation without nourishment. The Moon, as the planet of fluidity, emotion, and fertility, also plays a pivotal Kapha role. A strong Moon, especially in Taurus or Cancer, promotes balanced hydration, emotional intelligence, hormonal stability, and a nurturing maternal energy. When placed in the ascendant, 4th, or 5th house, it gives a calm mind, glowing skin, and deep emotional connection, a classic expression of healthy Kapha. However, when the Moon is debilitated in Scorpio, eclipsed, or afflicted by Saturn or Ketu, Kapha turns cold, depressive, or withdrawn. The person may suffer from fluid imbalances, edema, hypothyroidism, reproductive issues, or emotional dullness. A combust or waning moon, especially when ruling the lagna or influencing key houses, can lead to Kapha deficiency, resulting in low ojas, chronic fatigue, infertility, or emotional numbness. Venus, as the ruler of reproductive tissues, sensuality, and lubrication, adds softness, fertility, and grace to Kapha. A strong Venus in Pisces exalted, or in Taurus, Libra, own signs, gives clear skin, healthy hormonal balance, reproductive vitality, and artistic elegance. The person radiates charm, affection, and emotional harmony. But when Venus is debilitated in Virgo, combust, or afflicted by malefics, its Kapha influence can become distorted, manifesting as PCOS, menstrual irregularity, infertility, excessive mucus, or emotional codependence. Combust Venus may also lead to reproductive burnout, loss of libido, or creative blockage, especially in Kapha-heavy charts. Yogas and aspects are powerful indicators of how Kapha manifests. A Gajacasra yoga, Moon and Jupiter in Kendra from each other, can create exceptional emotional stability, physical strength, and immune resilience, a well-integrated Kapha expression. However, a Guru Chandra yoga, Jupiter's Rahu, can distort Kapha, leading to greed, emotional excess, overgrowth, like lipomas or fatty tumors, and spiritual confusion. A Shukra Chandra yoga in watery signs might produce beauty, fertility, and nurturing charm, but if afflicted, could result in Kapha imbalances like attachment, over-sentimentality, and hormonal dysfunctions. In chart analysis, Ayurvedic astrologers assess whether Kapha planets are exalted, debilitated, combust, or retrograde, what aspects or yogas these planets form, especially in Lagna, 4th, 6th, or 12th houses. whether the kapha-enhancing energy is harmonized or aggravated by malefics like Saturn or Rahu. A strong and well-dignified Jupiter, Moon, or Venus helps maintain fluid balance, reproductive health, emotional well-being, and physical strength, hallmarks of a healthy kapha constitution. But if these same planets are weak or ill-placed, kapha can become stagnant, heavy, emotionally imbalanced, or resistant to transformation. In essence, kapha is the dosha of containment, cohesion, and care. But when unregulated due to planetary weakness or affliction, it becomes a burden of weight, attachment, and inertia. Planetary strength in the natal chart determines whether kapha supports vitality or weighs it down. Through astrological insight and Ayurvedic understanding, one can learn not only how to balance the body's earth-water matrix, but also how to release what's stuck without losing what sustains. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Kapha Constitution, Houses of Health, Part 21. In Ayurvedic astrology, the 1st, 6th, 8th, and 12th houses are foundational to understanding how kapha dosha manifests in the body, either as a reservoir of strength, stability, and immunity, or when imbalanced, as congestion, stagnation, and overaccumulation. Kapha is governed by the water and earth elements, and its planetary rulers, Jupiter, Moon, and Venus, play a central role in determining how kapha traits express themselves in health or disease, especially when these grahas influence the key health houses. First house, Ascendant Lagna, core kapha constitution. The ascendant defines the body's shape, strength, and default doshic expression. A person with a kapha-dominant lagna, Taurus, Cancer, or Pisces, and further influenced by Jupiter, Moon, or Venus in the first house, often displays classic kapha traits: well-built body, smooth skin, thick hair, large eyes, and a calm, affectionate temperament. If the Lagna Lord is Jupiter or Venus and placed in its own sign or exalted, it indicates strong oja's deep sleep, fertility, and excellent tissue formation. However, if the first house is afflicted by malefics, like Rahu, Saturn, or Ketu, or if Jupiter or Moon is debilitated or in a dusthana, kapha traits can turn pathological, leading to sluggish digestion, heaviness, excessive mucus, emotional inertia, or water retention. The person may appear grounded, but suffer from internal congestion or low metabolic fire. Manda Agni. Sixth house, acute illnesses and kapha disorders. The sixth house governs illnesses and how the body deals with them, particularly acute or functional conditions. When kapha planets like Moon, Venus, or Jupiter occupy or rule the sixth house, especially in earthy or watery signs, the native may experience kapha-type disorders such as colds, coughs, sinusitis, bronchial congestion, water retention, obesity, or high blood sugar, slow digestion, thick tongue coating, or heavy limbs. A moon in the sixth, particularly when waning or afflicted, may cause chronic upper respiratory infections, emotional eating, or hormonal sluggishness. Venus in the sixth, if combust or hemmed between malefics, may lead to PCOS, reproductive mucus disorders, or lymphatic stagnation. A Jupiter in the sixth, especially when retrograde or afflicted by Rahu, might show obesities or excess fatty tissue accumulation, especially if kapha signs like Taurus or Cancer are involved. Eighth house, chronic kapha conditions. The eighth house represents chronic, degenerative, or constitutional disorders, and its link to kapha often manifests as long-standing imbalances related to accumulation and stagnation. When Jupiter, Moon, or Venus are poorly placed or afflicted here, the native may struggle with long-term weight gain, metabolic syndrome, or diabetes, reproductive stagnation, e.g., fibroids, ovarian cysts, infertility, psychological stagnation, depression, emotional numbness, or dependency. Jupiter in the eighth, especially in fixed signs like Taurus or Scorpio, may cause progressive fat accumulation, digestive torpor, or atherosclerosis. Moon in the eighth may lead to emotional trauma stored in the body, manifesting as fluid imbalance, grief-related disease, or menstrual irregularity. These are classic kapha disorders, slow to build, deep-rooted, and hard to eliminate without targeted intervention. 12th house, vitality drain and kapha weakness. The 12th house governs loss, retreat, hospitalization, and expenditure of ojas, making it critical in analyzing kapha depletion or suppression. When kapha planets are placed here, especially if afflicted, it may signal sleep disturbances, despite natural kapha heaviness, reproductive burnout or suppressed fertility, chronic congestion or undigested emotional content leading to escapism or emotional numbness. Moon in the 12th, particularly if waning or aspected by Saturn, can indicate suppressed emotions, leading to sleep apnea, fluid retention, or emotional withdrawal. Venus in the 12th, if combust, might result in reproductive system fatigue, hormonal dullness, or libido suppression. Jupiter in the 12th, especially if debilitated or retrograde, can indicate slow lymphatic drainage, low immune function, or spiritual bypassing through comfort or escapism, a subtle but real form of kapha disintegration. In summary, first house reveals core kapha vitality or congestion, afflicted kapha planets, stagnation, emotional heaviness. Sixth house, kapha-based acute illnesses, respiratory, digestive sluggishness, weight-related inflammation. Eighth house, long-term kapha imbalance, chronic mucus disorders, diabetes, hormonal congestion. 12th house, kapha depletion through emotional numbing, ojas exhaustion, sleep problems, or silent fluid stagnation. When analyzing these houses, an Ayurvedic astrologer will assess the dignity and condition of kapha planets, whether benefic or malefic aspects are present, how house lords are positioned, particularly 6th, 8th, and 12th, planetary yogas that may support or suppress kapha functions. When balanced, these houses offer insight into kapha's gifts, emotional depth, fertility, immunity, and longevity. But when kapha becomes either excessive or obstructed, the same nurturing energy can create a body burdened by weight, water, or withheld emotion. The chart reveals whether kapha is anchoring vitality or anchoring inertia and offers a clear path for both prevention and healing. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Kapha Constitution, Jupiter, Moon, and Venus under exaltation, debilitation, Rahu and Ketu influence, Part 24. Kapha dosha, governed by water and earth, is stabilizing, nourishing, and cohesive. Its planetary stewards, Jupiter, Moon, and Venus, reflect these same qualities. When strong and balanced, they bless the native with emotional warmth, fertility, strong immunity, beauty, and stamina. But when exalted, debilitated combust, or influenced by Rahu or Ketu, kapha can express as either nourishing resilience or pathological stagnation and emotional inertia. Let's explore how these planetary dignities and nodal interactions shape kapha's strength or disorder in the chart. Jupiter in kapha, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Jupiter in Cancer. This is Jupiter at its nurturing peak. The native often enjoys strong ojas, vital immunity, robust digestion due to well-formed tissues, healthy fat metabolism, and emotional generosity. There's spiritual openness, a sweet disposition, and balanced kapha, well-built frame, stable mind, compassionate leadership. However, if paired with a sedentary lifestyle, it may still predispose to weight gain or fluid retention. Debilitated in Capricorn, kapha starts to break down here. The person may suffer from slow metabolism, poor fat assimilation, lymphatic congestion, or low fertility. Emotionally, it shows as pessimism, emotional coldness, or excessive attachment to safety. Immunity, ojas weakens, and there's susceptibility to chronic kapha diseases like diabetes, PCOS, or joint stiffness. Jupiter with Rahu, Guru Chala Yoga. Rahu exaggerates Jupiter's qualities, often in a distorted way. Physically, this may manifest as obesity, liver fat accumulation, or unhealthy growth, lipomas, cysts. The mind becomes indulgent, greedy, or spiritually confused. There may be overeating, emotional hoarding, and metabolic sluggishness. Kapha becomes bloated and toxic. Jupiter with Ketu. Ketu reduces Jupiter's expansive kapha nature. The result is reduced nourishment, poor tissue formation, or emotional detachment. Despite a gentle outer presence, there's internal dryness or even burnout of belief and joy. It can lead to malnourishment, brittle nails, infertility, or lack of generosity or faith. Moon in kapha, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Moon in Taurus. This gives emotional steadiness, hormonal health, fertility, sound sleep, and well-balanced fluids. The person radiates warmth, sensitivity, and charm. Physical kapha thrives. Radiant skin, moist complexion, strong hydration, good lymphatic flow. Emotionally, they're nurturing and deeply connected. Debilitated Moon in Scorpio. Kapha here is diminished, volatile, or suppressed. The person may suffer from fluid imbalances, mood instability, PMS, edema, or grief-driven weight fluctuations. Emotionally, it manifests as clinging followed by emotional shutdown, a clear sign of kapha being destabilized. Moon with Rahu. This is a classic marker of emotional distortion and excessive kapha. It may create emotional overeating, anxiety masked as attachment, or hormonal flooding, e.g., excessive estrogen, swelling, or PCOS-like patterns. There's often compulsive nurturing, emotional codependency, and foggy mental processing. Moon with Ketu. This results in emotional coldness, disconnection, and depleted kapha. Sleep may be disturbed, the menstrual cycle irregular, and the native emotionally aloof. It often leads to dryness of skin, reduced fertility, or introverted melancholy, kapha hollowed out and disconnected from nourishment. Venus in kapha, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Venus, this is the epitome of healthy, sensual kapha. It brings reproductive vitality, skin glow, charm, fertility, and strong emotional receptivity. Physical manifestations include lubricated joints, hormonal balance, and youthful energy. These natives exude grace, artistic talent, and emotional depth. Debilitated Venus in Virgo, kapha is dried and repressed here. You may see infertility, reproductive depletion, low libido, vaginal dryness, hormonal coldness, or emotional withdrawal. Skin and hair may lose luster. The person may become critical, withholding, or unable to receive affection, reflecting diminished rasa dhatu, plasma/nourishment. Venus with Rahu. Rahu amplifies Venus in indulgent, addictive ways. The native may seek sensory pleasure to excess, overeating, oversexuality, shopping addiction, or emotional dependency. This causes kapha to swell, emotionally and physically. There may be PCOS, ovarian cysts, acne, or sugar addiction, all tied to kapha buildup and poor water metabolism. Venus with Ketu. This combination cuts off the Venusian kapha experience. It results in sensual or emotional withdrawal, infertility, early reproductive decline, or disinterest in pleasure or intimacy. The native may seem graceful but emotionally detached, with signs of dry skin, cold womb, or hormonal flattening. Key Ayurvedic insights for chart reading. Placement, dosha impact, physical signs, emotional patterns. Porta Moon. Exalted Jupiter Moon Venus. Strong, balanced kapha, moist skin, fertility, emotional warmth, compassionate, nurturing, stable. Debilitated Jupiter Moon Venus. Kapha deficient, dryness, poor immunity, low libido, apathy, pessimism, emotional withdrawal. With Rahu, kapha excess, toxicity, obesity, cysts, congestion, craving, clinging, overindulgence. With Ketu, kapha depletion, infertility, dryness, fatigue, coldness, detachment, flat effect. When reading kapha from a chart, an Ayurvedic astrologer assesses planetary strength, exaltation, debilitation, retrograde, combustion, afflictions by Rahu, Ketu, or Saturn, yogas indicating expansion, e.g. Gajakesari, or distortion, Guru Chandal. Balanced kapha through these planets offers emotional nourishment, bodily strength, beauty, and endurance. But when imbalanced, through excess or deficiency, it manifests as emotional heaviness, congestion, hormonal stagnation, or reproductive depletion. Knowing planetary dignity helps determine whether kapha is anchoring life or weighing it down. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Vata Constitution, Planetary Strength and Yogas, Part 19. In the Ayurvedic astrological framework, the manifestation of Vata dosha, linked to air, Vayu, and ether, Akasha, is profoundly shaped by the strength, bala, and dignity of Vata governing planets, primarily Saturn, and secondarily Mercury. Vata governs movement, communication, breath, nervous energy, and subtlety. When these planetary influences are strong and well-placed, they support creativity, adaptability, intellectual speed, and resilience. But when weak, combust, retrograde, or afflicted, they can destabilize Vata, leading to disorders of dryness, instability, and fear. Let's begin with Saturn, the primary carrier of Vata's dry, cold, mobile qualities. A strong Saturn, placed in own signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, exalted in Libra, or forming auspicious yogas like Shasha Yoga, gives endurance, controlled movement, mental discipline, and healthy aging. Physically, it bestows a lean, tall frame, stable joints, and strong bone structure. Mentally, it supports detachment, realism, perseverance, and deep contemplation, a balanced Vata at work. However, a debilitated Saturn in Aries, or Saturn afflicted by Rahu, Ketu, or Mars, especially in houses like the 1st, 4th, 6th, or 12th, causes Vata aggravation. The result is dry skin, joint stiffness, lower back pain, chronic constipation, nervous tension, or anxiety. Mentally, it brings restlessness, depression, chronic fear, insomnia, or a deep sense of alienation. If Saturn is retrograde, the Vata disturbance may become more internalized, leading to rigid thought loops, compulsive worry, or social withdrawal. Now consider Mercury, which governs the nervous system, speech, intellect, and coordination, a fast-moving, changeable graha with Vata's signature quickness. A strong Mercury placed in its own signs, Gemini or Virgo, or forming Buddha Aditya Yoga, gives sharp intellect, articulate speech, refined coordination, and quick adaptability, all expressions of functional Vata. It supports mental clarity, light digestion, healthy skin, and communication skills. But a debilitated Mercury in Pisces, or a combust or afflicted Mercury, especially when conjoined with Saturn or Rahu, leads to nervous exhaustion, stammering, skin sensitivity, cognitive overload, or digestive irregularity. The mind becomes fragmented, overactive, anxious, and the body exhibits dryness, gas, tremors, or insomnia. In such charts, Vata becomes deranged through information overload, irregular routines, or overstimulation. Combustion is particularly relevant to Vata. A combust Mercury often results in verbal overdrive, mental irritation, hypersensitivity, and irregular sleep patterns. A combust Saturn, though rarer, can express as chronic fatigue, bone loss, or nerve degeneration, especially if Vata is already dominant in the Prakriti. Yogas and aspects also shape how Vata behaves. Shasha Yoga, Saturn in own exalted sign in Kendra, gives firm structure and long life, balancing Vata's tendency to deplete. A Buddha Chandra Yoga, Mercury plus Moon, can enhance mental speed and memory, but if afflicted, leads to mental instability, indecision, or sleep disruption. If Rahu conjoins Saturn or Mercury, the Vata becomes hyperstimulated, resulting in OCD tendencies, insomnia, twitching, or irregular bowel movements. If Ketu affects these planets, Vata may become fragmented, leading to emotional detachment, poor sensory coordination, or autoimmune nerve issues. In chart analysis, Ayurvedic astrologers evaluate whether Saturn and Mercury are exalted, debilitated, combust, or retrograde. Their house placement, 1st for body, 6th for disease, 4th for emotional grounding, 12th for sleep insomnia. Their aspects, whether receiving support from benefics like Jupiter or suffering affliction from malefics like Rahu or Mars. Presence of yogas that either stabilize or destabilize Vata. When Saturn and Mercury are well placed and harmoniously aspected, Vata becomes creative, mobile, spiritually attuned, and intellectually agile. But when these planets are weak or afflicted, the result is deterioration of vitality, chronic dryness, fear, poor digestion, and nervous breakdown. Vata-dominant individuals require warmth, grounding, routine, and nourishment to counterbalance their airy, scattered tendencies. Astrologically, this means promoting stability through strengthened Saturn, clarity through supported Mercury, and mitigating disturbances from Rahu and Ketu that exaggerate or drain Vata's already volatile nature. In essence, Vata is the dosha of motion, breath, and thought, but without planetary strength, it becomes the wind that unravels the mind and body. Understanding the dignity of Saturn and Mercury is key to supporting longevity, calm, and coherence in those who are born to move swiftly, so long as they do not scatter. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Vata Constitution, Houses of Health, Part 22. In the lens of Ayurvedic astrology, the 1st, 6th, 8th, and 12th houses are pivotal for diagnosing how Vata dosha, the dosha of movement, nervous system activity, and subtle energy, manifests in the body. Governed by air and ether, and ruled astrologically by Saturn and Mercury, Vata is the most easily disturbed dosha. It is quick to go out of balance under stress, irregularity, or depletion. These houses show where Vata is naturally strong, chronically unstable, or most vulnerable to breakdown, depending on planetary placements, dignity, and aspects. First house, core Vata constitution. The ascendant sets the foundation for body type, vitality, and default doshic leanings. When the rising sign is an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, and is influenced by Saturn or Mercury, a Vata-dominant constitution is likely. These individuals typically have thin or bony frames, dry skin, prominent joints, quick speech, and a hypermobile mind. If Saturn or Mercury is strong and benefic, it supports a creative, intuitive, and intellectually agile Vata. But if the first house is afflicted by Rahu, Mars, or Ketu, or if Saturn is retrograde or combust, this leads to low vitality, nervous exhaustion, joint weakness, and chronic dryness. These people may suffer from constipation, poor circulation, cold sensitivity, and erratic appetite, all textbook Vata symptoms. Sixth house, acute disorders and Vata aggravation. The sixth house governs disease onset and immune function, especially how the body responds to daily stress and acute imbalances. Vata here, through Saturn or Mercury placement or rulership, shows vulnerability to nerve pain, sciatica, tremors, or spasms, constipation, gas, bloating, IBS, insomnia, sensory hypersensitivity, and anxiety attacks. If Saturn is in the sixth, particularly in a Dusthana sign or under malefic aspect, chronic dryness and constriction may manifest as arthritis, degenerative disc conditions, or neuromuscular disorders. Mercury in the sixth, if debilitated or afflicted, may bring nervous tics, skin dryness, or misfiring of gut-brain signaling, often seen in Vata-predominant IBS or psychosomatic reactions. When Rahu or Ketu join Saturn or Mercury here, acute Vata disorders can escalate unpredictably. Panic attacks, restless legs, breathlessness, or neurological flares. Eighth house, chronic and degenerative Vata disorders. The eighth house represents long-term constitutional weaknesses, chronic illnesses, and degeneration. When Saturn or Mercury is afflicted or debilitated here, it reflects deep-seated Vata imbalance, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, anxiety disorders, degenerative neurological conditions, e.g. Parkinsonism, MS, bone density loss, osteoporosis, or spinal deterioration. An afflicted Saturn in the eighth creates a slow, insidious weakening of the body, often through emotional repression, cold trauma, or karmic depletion. This may show up as premature aging or as emotional numbness combined with nervous fragility. If Ketu is also involved, the condition may be hard to diagnose or treat, hidden in subtle systems like the vagus nerve or limbic brain. 12th house, sleep, energy drain, and Vata collapse. The 12th house governs loss, isolation, sleep, and hospitalization, and is especially sensitive for Vata types. When Saturn or Mercury is poorly placed or afflicted here, the person is vulnerable to insomnia, fragmented sleep, or vivid disturbing dreams, energy drain, adrenal fatigue, and immune suppression, chronic nervous tension, isolation, or escapism due to sensory overload. For example, Saturn in the 12th, if debilitated or hemmed by malefics, may lead to nervous breakdown, loss of ojas, or hospitalization due to chronic anxiety or exhaustion. Mercury in the 12th, if afflicted by Rahu or combust by Sun, may cause mental fragmentation, overstimulation, or spiritual disassociation. These placements often reflect people who retreat into their mind, lose connection to the body, and suffer from Vata Ojas depletion, where the wind carries away life force. In summary, first house reveals core Vata constitution, nervous sensitivity, dry body, erratic strength. Afflictions equals instability, cold, sixth house, acute Vata disorders, constipation, insomnia, sciatica, anxiety. Eighth house, chronic Vata degeneration, neuromuscular conditions, fatigue, early aging. 12th house, loss of vitality, sleep disorders, nervous collapse, emotional isolation. An Ayurvedic astrologer will analyze the dignity and condition of Vata planets, Saturn, Mercury, presence of combustion, debilitation, or retrogression, malefic or benefic aspects, house rulerships, and whether Dashik lords are in mutual influence. When Vata is managed well, it supports creativity, intuition, movement, and lightness. But when Vata is left unchecked in these houses, it gives rise to unrootedness, fear, frailty, and functional disintegration. The key lies in recognizing the astrological pathways of depletion and using that awareness to rebuild rhythm, stillness, and nourishment. Ayurveda and Vedic Astrology, Vata Constitution, Saturn and Mercury under exaltation, debilitation, Rahu and Ketu influence, Part 25. Vata dosha, composed of air and ether, is the most sensitive and quickly disturbed of the three doshas. It governs movement, nervous impulses, communication, and breath, and is reflected astrologically through Saturn, slow, dry, cold, and constricting, and Mercury, fast, mobile, and mentally stimulated. The way Vata expresses in the body, whether as agility and brilliance or as depletion and fragmentation, depends on the dignity of Saturn and Mercury and the influence of amplifier, or Ketu, reducer. Saturn in Vata, dignity and nodal influence. Exalted Saturn in Libra, this gives a highly structured and disciplined Vata. The body tends to be lean, resilient, long-lived, with controlled mobility and strong bones. The mind is focused, meditative, and capable of enduring solitude or austerity. Vata here is refined, not chaotic. However, excessive rigidity may still lead to dry skin, constipation, and cold sensitivity, especially if Moon or Venus is weak. Debilitated Saturn in Aries. This weakens Vata's container. The native may experience joint pain, nerve weakness, early aging, spinal compression, or emaciation. Digestion becomes erratic and weak, sleep gets fragmented, and anxiety levels rise. Emotionally, it manifests as isolation, fear, or mental fatigue. Saturn's grounding fails, and Vata scatters. Saturn with Rahu. This creates Vata aggravation to a high and unstable degree. It may lead to chronic anxiety, obsessive thoughts, tremors, panic disorders, or neurological syndromes. Physical signs include tics, dry cracking joints, and insomnia. The mind may oscillate between over-control and collapse, often pushing the person toward burnout or social withdrawal. Saturn with Ketu. Ketu here cuts the grounding root of Saturn. Vata becomes disconnected and dissociative. This may result in chronic fatigue, poor mineral absorption, dryness in colon and skin, or autoimmune degeneration. Emotionally, this can feel like numb detachment, isolation fatigue, or fear with no identifiable source. The person may appear stoic, but suffer deeply inside with nerve exhaustion. Mercury in Vata, dignity, and nodal influence. This is Vata at its most functional and brilliant. Quick learning, fine articulation, agile reflexes, and a sharp analytical mind. Physically, the nervous system functions well, digestion is light but efficient, and the skin is clear. There's a fine balance between movement and control, making Vata precise rather than scattered. Debilitated Mercury in Pisces. Here, Mercury's clarity is clouded. The person may experience foggy thinking, poor communication, scattered attention, and hypersensitivity to sensory input. Digestion becomes inconsistent. The person may alternate between appetite loss and induced cravings. Vata becomes ungrounded and unfocused. Mercury with Rahu. This inflames mental Vata, leading to overthinking, nervous tics, racing thoughts, insomnia, and speech disturbances. There may be sensory overload, obsessive learning or information addiction, and lack of stillness. Physically, it may show up as IBS, gas, nervous digestion, or skin disorders linked to stress. Mercury with Ketu. This cuts the thread of Mercury's coherence. The result is detachment from logic, difficulty expressing thoughts, and mental vagueness. The native may appear dreamy, disjointed, or overly introverted. Physically, this shows up as fine tremors, forgetfulness, unstable appetite, or weakened nerve transmission, a dry, inward-floating Vata. Key Ayurvedic insights for chart reading. Placement, dosha impact, physical signs, psychological patterns. Exalted Saturn Mercury, grounded focused Vata, healthy joints, clear nerves, calm organized observant. Debilitated Saturn Mercury, Vata depletion, dryness, weakness, instability, anxiety, fear, disorientation. With Rahu, Vata overdrive, insomnia, tremors, tics, obsessive overstimulated, nervous. With Ketu, Vata depletion, emaciation, mental fog, disconnected, numb, scattered. An Ayurvedic astrologer analyzing Vata will study strength and dignity of Saturn and Mercury, exaltation, debilitation, combustion, retrograde, aspects from benefics, Jupiter, Moon, or malefics, Rahu, Mars, Ketu, role of these planets in the 1st, 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, seat of doshic disturbance. When balanced, Vata via Saturn and Mercury expresses as creativity, spiritual intuition, and agile intelligence. But when these grahas are afflicted or misaligned, Vata becomes scattered, dry, anxious, and disembodied. Understanding their dignity and interaction with nodal forces offers deep insight into whether the air within you is moving with grace or blowing your system off course.